Episode 307 of the TV Dudes, recorded November 11th, 2020. Strange Encounters. This week, we're in for some strange encounters. It might be ghosts from the world beyond in Amazon Prime's Truth Seekers, alien threats and monsters in the second season of Disney's Mandalorian, or some familiar and not so familiar faces in CBS All Access's Star Trek Discovery, or maybe some strange corners of the United States from a strange viewpoint in the two Borat movies, currently on Prime. But before we get to all that, I'm Randy.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Les.
Do you guys realize that all accesses is hard to say?
All accesses.
All
of them.
Does that not pluralize? Like, is that not all's access? Like
All's
courts
access.
martial or
CBS All
That's
Access.
the proper way
Yeah.
to say it.
That's how Squirrely Dan would say it. CBS All Accesses. All's accesses.
All accesses.
that's what I like about you, Randy.
My
That's what I
cousins from
appreciate
Wisconsin
about you.
always make things plural. Like, you want to go to Sonic's? You want to go to H-E-B's?
All right, so last week, you guys might have noticed we did not have a show. We were all in the post-election doldrums and just were not feeling it. We're not up for it. We didn't want to give you guys a lackluster show, so we decided to wait a week. And
give you a lackluster show now.
Yeah, we're backluster.
No, this week the show is going to be luster. It will not lackluster.
All the luster.
It will shine like a glowing pearl. Before we get to our shows for the week, though, it is time, as always, for the Power Rankings.
Power rankings.
Guys, not only are the shows we're talking about this week unusual, but you know what is very unusual? This thing called the internet, all right? Specifically, these websites, IMDb, Rotten Critic, and Metatomatoes. Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes. That's what I get for winging it.
Metamators.
No, these strange websites, they're going out there and they're talking about all these TV shows we're mentioning on the podcast. They're giving them these number rankings, and I've deciphered the math, and I've come up with the definitive ranking of all the shows we've watched this year. All 141 now.
Wow.
And just real quick, we had 4 shows we talked about last week, and I was going to give a little update on where those landed, starting with Utopia on Amazon Prime. Getting its butt kicked in the 127 spot.
Yikes.
Would you say that Utopia falls in the rankings?
Actually, where is that compared?
Oh my God, is it doing
that was
better?
the previous year.
Yes.
I need to go pull those numbers.
No, Utopia Falls is on here, Kyle. Utopia Falls
Yeah?
is 121 to Utopia's 127.
This isn't even as good as Utopia Falls.
See,
Wow.
if Utopia had Snoop,
I'm kind of curious. This is really, it's got a 0 in there from the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. So I'm kind of, I wonder why they review some stuff and other stuff, like
well, if
the
I know
West
anything
Wing
about
specials
Utopia,
reviewed.
it's a conspiracy.
It's a duh, we cracked it.
It is.
But
As I look at these ratings, man, it got savaged by the critics.
Yeah.
Like 51, 56, like that's rough.
I wonder how much of that is the mood, because it really is just, it doesn't have a great message for 2020.
Right, but it was a good
and that's
show.
how I felt about it. Like that was my issue with it. Was like, damn it, this is really appealing to me, and a very, very well made show that hits all of my buttons. Not the right time. Shut the fuck up.
Also, John Cusack makes a great villain. Have we seen that before?
Not really. Not to this degree.
I feel like he was the villain of High Fidelity, I think, right?
Rob's
yeah,
just
I guess
an
if you-
asshole.
You watch it that way. Or Gross Point Blank.
Yeah.
He has been an anti-hero, let's say, but always with like a redeemable streak or whatever. And
it's
in this
true.
one, like, he's a fucking psycho.
Yeah, to the max. Also important to note, this is tied in the 127th spot with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. JoJo Joestar! For those of you who missed it, it was a Patreon
Someone should
watch
develop that for television.
of the anime variety, and yeah, it was quite bizarre. But
Oh man,
next
now
up
I
on the
want to
list-
rewatch just like 5 minutes of JoJo to get that patter back. So
That was the best part, is when it would go JoJo Joestar. But next up,
roundabout
the-
at the credits.
The West Wing special over there on HBO Max, that thing they did in the theater, that is breaking the top 100 in the 98th spot, right there behind Love Life, and one up above Transformers: War for Cybertron.
You know, there's a lot of shows here that belong much higher in the rankings. Like
Yeah, well,
well,
I was gonna say this one suffers from that same thing where it's no audience score over on Rotten Tomatoes.
yeah, that's
Is
so
that because
weird.
HBO Max does not actually have an audience?
I mean, it's not on Roku, so that's got to be hurting it.
I got a new TV recently, and even though I don't care about most of its smart TV apps, it will let me cast directly from my laptop now. So I at least have it is still an annoying functionality. HBO Max doesn't push forward any like controls I can do from remotes, so I still have to
Right.
run back to my laptop, but I can at least watch some Rick and Morty.
Oh, that's good.
Nice. God, I can't wait till we talk about that again.
Yeah, we're gonna cover that next
just-
week.
No, yeah, you
Yeah,
son
just
of
to
a bitch.
recap, our
I'm in.
number 2 show on the list, very high up there. But the other thing we talked about last week, and we're going to talk about again this week, is Star Trek Discovery. Number 90, though, which seems very low on the list.
I'm really surprised this isn't higher.
Yeah. Kill la Kill is 2 places higher than this. Another
So
anime we
weird.
watched on a Patreon dare.
And Reprisal, Reprisal is like 3 above. And I bet if you asked any given person, "Hey, have you watched Reprisal?" they'd have no idea what you were talking about.
Yeah, in fact, this was like a 4-way tie when I first did the list. So I went through and I was double checking all the numbers because I don't update all the numbers every week, but I make sure to update all the numbers around our shows.
Sure.
That way, if there's like a 1-point variance, it gives me a good idea of like where things are moving. And everything moved around in that spot, including Reprisal. And I remember clicking on the numbers, like, what the hell is this show? Oh, I completely forgot.
Like
I thought it was that
I enjoyed
HBO show about all the rich brats with Macaulay Culkin's brother.
Like, I mean, I didn't hate Jet, but how is it twice as good as Star Trek Discovery on our rankings?
It's so weird.
Very bizarre. But going much, much higher on the list.
I thought there'd be more love for STD.
Let me say, I would say competitor territory. All right. Top 25.
Yeah.
That's a pretty coveted spot. And what's this next show doing? It's making out with 25. It's in the 26th spot. That's the Trial of the Chicago 7. Not even a show at all. It's a film over on
That's
Netflix. But yeah, no, it is super high on this list, getting like great rankings not only across the board, but
I
there's
feel like
a lot
that's
of people
mostly
reviewing
Abby
it.
and Jerry, but the reason it's super high.
I also do wonder if some of these sites that we go to tend to favor films more than TV shows. I know that Metacritic for sure favors video games before TV shows.
Yeah.
I feel like it's way easier to find video game stuff than TV stuff on there. But 26 is still a really good spot on our list. And
yeah.
yeah, it's exciting to see things kind of shake out, losing 2 or 3 points here, gaining a point or 2 there.
God, Trial of Chicago 7 is so good. Everybody with Netflix which is everybody, should go watch it.
That's true. All right. Thank you, Kyle, for our power rankings update.
Thank you guys.
Can we agree that Netflix is like the bread of any streaming sandwich? Like, I don't care what other streaming services I don't know if you like mayo or mayonnaise or Hulu or what, but you've got bread at the bottom. Like, I mean, there'll be if you're telling a story about like how you grew up and you didn't have even Netflix, then you were probably also eating like hand sandwiches with just like just put a piece of meat on your hand and then just eat that piece of deli meat.
It's called keto. Netflix is
Is that called?
if you don't have Netflix,
man.
it's keto TV.
That's like that meme that goes around of like Like, what are things that are have magazine articles written about them if you're rich and privileged, but
Yeah,
that are like living in a tiny house? Yeah, that's called a trailer park. Like, oh, that's keto.
Yeah.
We were keto. You didn't even know it.
That would be a fun exercise. What if in 2021 we just vow to not watch any Netflix shows?
My year without Netflix.
Nope. Not
We'd
gonna
have a
happen.
much shorter list.
There's a
all right.
Patreon, but we can't check it.
Just a reminder that you can support us by going over to patreon.com/tvdudes. Throw us a buck an episode. In exchange, we get to keep up with the streaming services and pay for our hosting costs, and you get bonus content. This week, we are going to be looking at a movie marathon to finish out Patreon for the year, and we need you to help us pick. So we're going to talk about potential movie marathon ideas, and then we're going to put up a poll on our Patreon so y'all can vote on which one you most like to hear. We're also going to put up a poll on our Facebook, so if you're not a patron, you can vote, and if we pick yours, you can become a patron and hear what we say.
Yeah, or if we don't pick yours, you can save your money. Or don't save your money. I guess I shouldn't say that.
Or,
Sorry.
you know,
Forget
you
I
can
said
pay to
that.
hear about the clearly better shows that we're going to talk about.
We also have our $20 showrunner level, which lets you add 2 shows into our rotation. Next
Indeed.
week, you guys, we've got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s final season coming up next week for EJ.
I'll tell you all the secret. We found an episode Randy liked.
Whoa.
Don't give away the game. Don't give away the game.
Y'all don't know which episode.
And Charles
The one where everybody
Armstrong has put a couple more anime on our list. Great Pretender and Megalobox. So we'll be getting those before the year is out. Also, we are starting work on our Best of 2020 episodes. So if you're a patron and you want your favorite show mentioned, drop us a message on Patreon. Tell us what your favorite show of 2020 is. Don't give us a list. You got to pick one favorite show. And we're going to record those in the last couple weeks of December, so you got a little time to figure that out.
I'm really interested to see if our listeners throw in the same favorite show. Like, do we really have all the same taste, and their favorite show is going to be on our list anyway? Or if we're going to get all the way to the end of this year and a listener's going to throw a show down and we're going to go, what is that?
We've never heard of
Do
that.
a TV podcast. What is that? So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Bring it. Let's see what
It's
y'all's
going to
favorite
be
shows
the
are.
Lone Star 911. How did we not watch this?
That is no one's favorite show.
Sharply increased after episode 2 when Les bailed.
That's not even Rob Lowe's favorite show. All right, so
He
let's
stars.
Just
talk.
doing that in between West Wing specials.
Let's talk new business for the week. It is time to talk about Truth Seekers over on Prime. This is a show from some of the creators of Spaced.
Noticeably lacking Edgar Wright.
Yes, and I felt the lack of Edgar Wright.
Yeah.
I gotta say, did you guys watch all of this? You get all the way through it?
No.
I'm halfway through.
Halfway
So-
through it.
Okay, so that's interesting because I watched all of it, and as I watched the first half or so, I was like, I'm not feeling this at all. I was not really into it. I thought the characters were okay, but it's like it's not very funny, and it's weird. It's weirdly spooky. Like they're actually going for little scares a little bit, but it's not like legit scary, and it's not like Insidious or anything like that. But I will say that, and maybe we'll come back to this one like we did with Utopia, and you guys will see what you think. But I realized they were doing one big story. Like they told one big story in these 8 episodes.
Okay.
Or maybe 10.
Because that is kind of the thing I keep wondering is it seems like there's a through line to all of it, but it's not like Game of Thrones where, every week it's like, who's going to sleep and kill who?
Right. No, but there is an ongoing story, and there's some reveal. Like the characters each have arcs. Like they are clearly doing a big story here. It's just that it's set up as episodic in the first 4 episodes.
And my problem with their episodics that they did is that they don't invest in them. Like their monster of the week is set up and an afterthought. Like they're spooky in a single moment, like a single jump scare or camera shot or something. But the thing with the dog, they're all presented with a Goosebumps spent more time getting me through the plot
Yeah.
than the like. Are You Afraid of the Dark spent more time getting me through the plot. I think I watched 4 of these, and there were 2 different ones where Lisa and I looked at each other and went, "Did I miss a piece?
Yeah.
How did we resolve this already?"
The Doctor Who ending. It was
Basically.
love all along.
Yeah, I mean, only they just moved past. Like, I don't know. I was really irritatingly frustrated with this show.
Same.
Here's what they were going for. Guaranteed. All right. Spaced had tons of X-Files references. This is obviously an X-Files fanfic with Nick Frost and Simon Pegg.
But Simon Pegg's barely in it.
Yep.
Oh yeah, but you can
Barely
still
in
put
it
him
in
on
a
a
weird
poster.
wig.
And also,
I don't get the gag with Bjorn.
When Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg and Nick Frost get together, all of them, they give us something like Shaun of the Dead, which is it's a perfect zombie movie. They give us Hot
classic.
Fuzz, which is a perfect 80s cop movie. They give us End of the World, which is a World's End, which is kind of a flawed, end of the world alien invasion.
It's got Martin Freeman
Still
in
really,
it.
really enjoyed
it's
Into
good.
the World End.
It's good, and then Spaced, of course, is just perfect pop culture with with a great through line of of character stuff. If this was their X-Files, it was feeling the lack of Edgar Wright. I think it didn't have that sharp. There's no sharpness, there's no funniness, there's no cleverness to it.
Well,
I will say this, given we just watched The Boys, and I feel like there's something else on Amazon. Oh yeah, Utopia, where they're just like ultra violent, and it's like I feel like eyes are getting ripped out, people's heads are getting blown off. It was kind of nice that this show didn't try to go like full gore with it.
Yeah, that's true.
I just wish it had paid attention to itself or read its own. Like the number station.
Yeah.
So we make a big deal about that. It seems like unless his truck plays a musical, I spent one episode wondering if his 6G whatever networking ice cream truck was playing a song, or if that little ditty was coming from the number station.
Yeah.
Which he never really talks about the ditty. He talks about it only saying the number 1. It's only ever said 1.
Yeah.
And it's a huge plot point when it suddenly starts saying 5.
Yeah.
Right? And then immediately after, because we reach the next monster of the week, it's always been saying 1579.
Yeah. So
Nick Frost never mentions this because his character doesn't know it, and it's because the writers didn't fucking catch it.
I will say this:
we're so far off X-Files at this point.
I don't think that's true, because that does come back.
Does that finally come back?
Yeah. So they just
leave it out there like a mistake for 4 episodes?
Is it Terry that's his who's his sidekick in this? Yeah. I'm looking at IMDb and I can't. They've got it all messed up. I can't see any of the credits because they've got an ad over it or something. But
oh, don't you love that?
Yeah. So
it's Elton John.
Elton John, yes. And I can't see the credits. I don't know who it is because there's some kind of ad.
It's Samson Ko.
So his
probably getting that wrong. Sorry.
His character has a notable arc that explains some of the weirdness, but they don't reveal it till like episode 7. And there's a lot of stuff like that. It's like the 6G. The 6G is a major plot point. It plays through all of it, but it is not. It's like they didn't do their groundwork. It's like you go back and you get to the last like 7, 8 episodes, and you're like, oh, so all that stuff mattered. But
y'all were super excited about this in the writers' room, but you didn't explain it to any of us until the end. Yeah,
and so I feel like they basically could have structured it better. Again, I feel like what this is missing is Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright, you look at what he does, and he knows how to tell a story. You look at Scott Pilgrim, where he packed in 6 graphic novels with a story into one movie and made it work. Like, this is a guy who knows how to tell stories. And Nick Frost and Simon Pegg are both good storytellers, but they flopped it here.
The thing I think Spaced has over this is has a lot to do with how that show is made. With Netflix, with streaming, everything is made. What's your season? You know, like they come into it going, I got 8 episodes. I'm going to tell a story over these 8 episodes. And it didn't used to be like that.
Yeah.
You had a couple episodes, maybe you get a couple more, maybe you get a whole season, but you were writing week to week. And when stuff came back, it's because you had an idea down the road. Like, I feel like there was a lot less of setting up stuff and spaced, but they did so much universe building and they kept drawing on stuff from previous episodes and kind of expanding out the apartment and expanding out the side characters. And this show doesn't do that. And it sounds like from your description of the latter half, it kind of doesn't do what it's trying to do either.
Yeah, what's interesting to me is that I have a bunch of friends on Facebook who are in love with this show. People talk about
Nick Frost diehards,
and they're like they're like 4 episodes in where I was already losing interest. And they're talking about how great it is, and it is mostly people who I disagree with on other shows. I've noticed, like they're like people who are like, Star Trek Discovery just isn't doing it for me right now, and I'm like, okay. And so there is a frequency that this is vibing on, and it just seems like it missed all 3 of us.
Yeah. I'm not feeling this. There are other cuter British spooky shows. There's a number of shows that I would rather watch than this.
I gotta say,
I'm
Kyle,
one of those
I'm surprised.
diehards.
I'm surprised that you're a Brithead. It didn't hit you there.
You know, this doesn't feel like a British show though.
Interesting.
Like, it's funny. I was about to be like, Good Omens. Now that was a British show. Sorry, that would just oozed Britishness. But no, like it's something about the Amazon stuff that just, I mean, with the exception of the show I just mentioned, I don't know. It doesn't see like. Obviously, it's set over there. Everybody has an accent, but it seems like it was made either for an American audience or for a global audience, and that's why it takes some broad strokes, I think. But I'm such a fan of all this stuff. I really wanted to like this a lot more.
I would have just kind of gone, and moved on, except that the kind of like the 30 Rock special, the pedigree of the people involved set up an expectation that they then just missed for me completely, and the net effect was me being kind of angry at the show.
More annoyed at it,
Do you guys watch that samurai show Nick Frost is on? It's on some network.
Definitely do not.
Nope.
I'm going to look this up real quick.
That whole sentence sounds fascinating, but I am definitely not aware of this show.
Yeah. Are we sure it really exists, Kyle? Or
Into the Badlands.
Oh, I didn't know he was on that.
Neither did I.
No, that's on my what rainy day TV list of when they stopped making shows because of COVID. I've got that on my list to watch.
What network is that? Because I feel like it's on an
Netflix.
odd network.
It's AMC, but it's Netflix.
Oh yeah.
Netflix
via AMC via Netflix.
Yeah, nobody actually watched AMC. They just watched it on shows on Netflix.
Yeah. No, I thought this was like on Paramount or something.
That was some crazy shit. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah. That's on my same kind of list, Randy. Of like, ooh, I think that'll be good. We're gonna put that away until.
Yeah.
Gonna get that. Gonna get Outlander. Watch some more Jet.
All right, so let's change over and talk about something I think we all did really enjoy, which is The Mandalorian is back on Disney Plus.
Yes. So this was a Peyton Reed directed episode of Down with Love.
We haven't talked about the first episode.
Oh, yeah, we have not.
So let's talk.
Wait,
both.
Peyton Reed directed that second episode.
Yeah, directed the second episode.
Down with Love and Ant-Man directed Peyton Reed. And speaking of people taking over after Edgar Wright, we lacked Edgar Wright in the last show. We have Peyton Reed in this one.
So the first episode back though was
Space Marshal Bullock.
It was Jon Favreau.
Oh shit!
And it's they introduced a space marshal played by the guy who plays marshals. Because that dude, Timothy Oliphant, of course, was in Justified. He's playing a federal marshal on Fargo right now. And then, of course, he comes in playing a marshal of this space western town on Tatooine.
Sometimes he plays a realtor.
He does sometimes play a realtor.
A porn producer. I can't forget that one.
Blown away by this. I thought this was a fantastic first episode back.
Yeah,
you know a cool nod that I found, like digging through the Easter eggs on the internet afterwards, but that hairstyle that he has, where it's like the white on top.
Yep.
They did some Shadows of the Empire trading cards.
Yeah.
Where they did one with Boba Fett without his helmet,
Yeah.
And that's before, prequels and everything, but that's how they had him styled, with the white hair on top.
Yeah, it was Dan Burton did one of them. He's a painter. He did one of those because I saw his picture of it.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And we've been debating, like, is that armor Boba Fett's?
Yes, 100%.
Because when they sit the helmet on the table, and I couldn't tell if they were just doing it for style or because it looks like it has the same bullet ding.
That is
that's the giveaway.
That is 100% Boba Fett's armor.
Okay.
There's no question.
But it looks like there's some acid burning on it. Like, they've definitely
been through more,
aged it and given it some
he was in a
texture.
Sarlacc. He was in a Sarlacc pit until the dragon ate it.
That's right. They even mentioned that, like, there used to be how do you get rid of a Sarlacc? Like, unless you kill the Sarlacc.
Yeah, so when he shows up, by the way, it's great because you know the voice, you know the gait, and you knew exactly who that was in that armor. It was so good. And I love him basically sitting down, and the Mandalorian is used to being just obeyed because he's such the badass. And he's like, look, one of us is gonna die. I know this, so I might as well have a drink. You want a drink? Like, I love how casual badass he was. He wasn't even saying, like, I'm gonna kill you. It's like, well, you might kill me, but
I'd like to have a drink before this is done, please. Yeah.
And I feel like this is something that works really well in, like, Westerns. I mean, it works good in Star Wars, but maybe to a little less effect. But when he makes the comment about, I see that little one you got over there, and I think, maybe I got you wrong.
Yeah.
Like, that's like a, hey, let's make peace, but that's also like, I'll F up your kid if you mess with me. Or it's like, oh, I see you got something important here.
Nice kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, we don't talk much about how great Pedro Pascal is in acting under that armor, because when the marshal sits down and takes his helmet off, he, despite the fact that we cannot see his facial expression, we can see how deeply offended he is by what has just happened.
That was pretty cool.
What are you doing?
Just learned a lot about you, bud. Yeah. Yeah.
Because, and it's not even that the movements that he makes, like, definitely telegraph it, but it's like he spends so much time not moving that when you do get some little shakes, because he's not moving so much in the suit, like, you can tell what he's trying to say.
It means something. Yeah. And then
so, good.
Go ahead. What were you say?
Oh, no. I would say whenever we're talking about the second episode, I got something to bring up.
So, like, the Crate Dragon, I thought they did a fantastic job with making that a scary, awesome Star Wars-y villain. Mm-hmm. I love the Sand People as, like, the indigenous people of Tatooine. Mm-hmm. I love that they brought in an actual a person who's deaf to do the sign language stuff for them.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
And I liked the sort of it's such a great use of, like, the space western, like the townsfolk having to work with the Apaches and how tense they all are and how they do sort of come together and the respect that the Marshal and the Mandalorian get together. It's all, like, sort of super space western filtered through this character that we've come to like.
How many rockets did he get off those Jawa? Where is he getting these rockets to replace the rocket
I was thinking about that same thing. It has to be a standardized piece of ammunition.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Like, he has a modified version of that rocket
like the Mandalorians
launcher.
just built something that's like a universal rocket acceptor.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. You figure
here to top off fucking anything.
Wherever they are, most Aspa or whatever they are, it's a tiny little town. But he's just a land speeder ride away from Mos Eisley. You can get anything in Mos Eisley. Everything's legal in Mos Eisley.
Also, I remember thinking, like, well, Tim Oliphant has to be some level of naturally skilled badass because they made a thing about, oh, hey, you have a flying rocket backpack now. Those things are temperamental as hell and kind of have to bond with you. Or you have to get used to it.
Yeah.
And so I kept kind of waiting for Oliphant just to go and it, like, into a wall. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? He's going to be no help.
One of the things I love about this show is the team-ups. And because, obviously, the Mandalorian, he's got the helmet on, you don't get to see his facial expressions. So when you team him with a great side character and you get to watch all of their reactions...
He's the best straight man.
Yeah, it makes... Oh, that's a perfect way of putting it.
Yeah.
And this was so good because Timothy Oliphant, he's just larger than life, and you see everything on his face. There's, like, a million emotions you see his character experience through the course of this. Even their, like, little flashback bit that they did, like, he got a pretty rich story.
Yeah.
He's obviously coming back later in the season. He's got to.
This was a longer episode, too. This was almost an hour long.
And they leave it at the
Yeah, and
end
then-
as a very like we could use you again.
Yeah.
I hope
thought,
they don't. I hope they doesn't become this thing where like we meet characters throughout the course of the season, and then in our season finale we get a team up, kind of like they did last season. I would like to see
I
it
feel like they're
woven
leaving
together
them out
more
there.
organically.
Oh, I'm all for it though. I'm good with bringing everybody back for the
Yeah,
I feel like
The
he's in a
Hoorah
Gina.
episode.
What was her name?
Gina Carano.
Yeah, Gina Carano kind of position though.
Yeah. By the way, the music on this show is also great.
Oh yeah,
Love the music.
same guy that works
Yeah.
with Childish Gambino and everything. Ludwig Gustafsson.
Goranson?
Goranson.
He is who directed Black Panther?
Ryan Coogler.
Ryan Coogler's college roommate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, got
And-
that from the Mandalorian documentary.
Once again, the end credit art that looks like old school Ralph McQuarrie art or whatever
yeah.
is always like the
One of my favorite,
like
parts.
heartwarming. Oh my god, I love this.
Yeah.
Insert Godfather 3 reference here. Like I keep thinking I'm out of Star Wars, and damn, this show's good. Episode 2, I had a huge. Oh yeah, now I remember y'all are Star Wars kind of problem with.
Okay, so let's talk episode 2, which, first of all, Les, you pegged in our chat, has the best, maybe the best caption ever seen.
Yes. Yes. Frog woman speaks frog in parentheses. I had to pause. It was like, that is spectacular. That they're not even making up a frog alien or any.
Nope, just frog lady.
They're gonna have frog
Frog
characters.
lady.
It's gonna look
What does
like
she speak?
Prince's
Speaks
name.
frog.
So this one had a lot of callbacks to that, which was maybe either the best or one of the best episodes of the first season. When that one with the heist of the rebel ship, because he gets in trouble for that.
Mm-hmm.
But also we see the robot from that episode, and there's a couple other things that are like references. Clearly I don't know if it's the same writer, maybe, but there's definitely a lot of stuff referenced in here of the. That there was some follow through on that. That he did get made. Like the Republic saw him being involved in that.
Wait, was that the episode with Bill Burr that you're referring to?
It was, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was just making sure. I didn't. But no, and then we also got Dave Filoni coming back as one of the X-wing pilots. And I didn't catch if the other guy, he was one of those 3 pilots we got last season for like 2 seconds.
I think he's in somebody else. He's from something. I forget what it is.
I enjoyed the interaction with the X-wing pilots and them being kind of dicks.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not totally horrible. Like they don't blow him, they don't kill him. And they
know what they remind me of?
do help him with the spiders, but they don't help him.
yeah, they come
Exactly.
Back, yeah.
They're like cops.
Exactly. Exactly. You're lucky I didn't fuck your life up right now.
They let him off with a warning.
Yeah, totally.
And then he's like, "Hey, can you help me get my car out of a ditch?" And they're like,
No,
"No."
fuck you. Yeah.
It was good. It was good to see Amy Sedaris again.
Yep.
I love her relationship with the child. I love that she's basically like she gives him shit. Like she likes the Mandalorian and she just kind of gives him shit. I like that.
So they do set up with the frog lady of explaining that like there isn't another way for her to have these eggs, and they are going like there's no space for her on her or whatever. She can't be on her planet anymore. Her husband's already gone ahead. This is like their one shot.
Yeah.
To keep their family line alive. That is the crux of the whole reason he's on, like, the plot of this whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then they make a running gag of the whole episode about the child continually not threatening to, actually eating most of these eggs, so that by the end of the episode, the frog woman is sleeping on the eggs because this kid, like, will keep eating her children. And then the episode ends with a egg.
So there's a big controversy about this. People are mad.
It's
at
fucking
Baby
gross.
Yoda.
Either don't spend time selling me on the realness of this character, this frog person, and the plight and the whole setup, because then I feel dumb for like, that's right, I'm watching a child's show and I cared about a stupid frog person. So either I'm dumb for watching it and giving a fuck, or they don't, or because if I take it seriously and like, no, Star Wars is real. This is like real pathos, and I feel for this woman and her children. And oh no, it's a joke. Okay,
Les, You should have known it was a joke when it said "Frog woman speaks frog."
Also, keep in mind.
Don't pretend that I'm supposed to care about any of this.
Keep in mind.
No, don't give it.
Keep in
the
mind.
Mandalorian doesn't care about no frog eggs. He has to do it so he can find out where Ahsoka's at.
Guys, those are not the only eggs. She births more eggs in the middle of all this. So and also they're not fertilized. The Frog Lord is on another planet.
I thought she was just like refreshing them or
so
washing them. I didn't think she was
even
birthing more
Republicans
eggs in
can
the
be
spider
down with
thing.
this.
I thought she was birthing more. I thought she was birthing more eggs.
I think it was like a
I
finite
think they were
amount.
just warming them up.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's got plenty of eggs. They're not fertilized. You know, and they made that point. The producer or whatever was like, yeah, we're kind of surprised people are so mad about this. He's like, people eat eggs all the time.
It's because all right, but they don't make a chicken person that is the third character on a limited cast show and spend an hour making me care about the chicken person and then make a joke about eating the eggs.
It is a weird.
It's a lot like in Solo when they sold me on a robot who was in love with a human, and the human was also in love with the robot, and the robot was fighting for robot rights, and then at the end of the show, they melded her to a nav computer, lost her in a card game, and left the ship abandoned on a desert planet. Because Star Wars chumps me for caring.
I love Solo.
I enjoyed Solo otherwise, but man, Elite didn't. They're L33 whatever.
That's
Nav
funny. Yeah.
computer
This
for an
is
abandoned
crazy
ship.
talk you're speaking. Crazy talk.
It's funny though because Les is hardly the only one to have this point of view. I've had this discussion with other friends. There is a legit controversy going on online where people are like, they did not like Baby Yoda eating those eggs. And I'll say this.
I mean, Force users do kill some younglings. I'll say it.
I do think it's weirdly off tone. Like one of them maybe, and then the Mandalorian catches him and stops.
I'm like,
him
oh fuck, yeah.
But because it is just a running gag, it is weird. You're not wrong. It is a weird off tone. It's like, wait a minute, what are we doing here?
I was waiting for him to eat one of the spiders and then get infested with spiders inside of the baby, the child, and then the child have to like force burn out a spider infection.
Now you're just messing with us.
The spiders were
Peyton
scary,
Reed,
by the way.
I think it was fine. I eat caviar. It's all gravy over here with Kyle from the TV Dudes. Don't let these guys dissuade you. Eat more eggs. Because here's what's going to happen.
The
eggs are all going to be
Didn't
gone.
get to know the frog first.
And they're going to be at the drop-off point, and it's going to be all guns drawn on them. And how's the Mandalorian get out of this one?
And Baby Yoda farts out an egg.
That is the danger, by the way.
I'd do that.
That is the danger. Star Wars has a history, especially when Lucas was in charge, but even with Filoni, of going for the joke when you shouldn't have the joke. There's a balance, and you can't make it too silly, or else you lose less.
I will say, when the frog lady started hopping, I was like, dope, this is awesome.
Yeah, I love it when she just breaks into a run of like, fuck this.
Later, Mandalorian.
Yeah. I thought the first episode back was stronger than the second, but I liked both of them, and I'm excited to see the rest of the season.
Literally,
I also thought
if
it
not
was-
for the egg joke, I would have fucking loved the second episode. The spiders were amazing. I was cringed up on my couch like, stop it,
Yeah.
spiders, stop it.
There almost should have been a content warning for people who were scared of spiders, because that shit was scary.
Oh man, and then it covering his ship
Disney
and the repair,
Yeah.
them limping out of there. I loved everything about this episode except for the weird choice of the thread joke.
I was nice to see the scene where the Razor Crest is like on its last legs.
Yeah.
Because I got that in the trailer, and it seemed like something way more sinister was going on.
And I loved the like when it's flying away at the end with the back like flapping open and
Yeah.
shit, and like.
Yeah.
But I loved him just acknowledging that, like, I mean, it's a spacecraft. I can seal that one room.
Yeah.
We're going to cram everything you want to touch in that room because I'm going to weld it shut and we will have this much ship. And
Also-
everything else is just, like, barely bolted on. Like, it's like
Nice.
watching the muffler drag.
Nice little space western thing. He calls it a privy.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
I think that they're just fully on and fully embracing, like, hey guys, this is that Firefly season 2 you wanted.
Yeah. For my absolutely justified, I'm dead right anger at the running frog joke. I'm enjoying the living shit out of Mandalorian. This show is so good. I can't believe it's Star Wars.
When do you think he takes his helmet off?
I hope never.
Like, we know he takes it off to eat.
I hope it's a crazy straw that he just snakes up through there.
What about sleeping? He naps with it on.
Yeah, he sleeps in the armor.
Because I'm wondering, like, say he had an itch, but like he was around people, if he'd like tie him up and blindfold him so he could take the thing off and scratch his nose.
No, here's the thing.
You know, like, this is the way.
Don't look!
They got like sonic showers and stuff, so you probably can take a shower through the armor. And that's probably sonic shower, like vibrations, probably deals with itches too. So you get a little vibro thing. You just puts it up to the faceplate. The whole faceplate vibrates and scratches his nose for him.
Oh, that would work. I kind of
want to see it. I kind of want to see that.
It's like the Fly episode from Breaking Bad.
Is this one the lightsaber or the dildo?
Equivalent of that from Mandalorian.
All right, so let's leave a galaxy far, far away and go to another galaxy also far, far away. Let's talk Star Trek Discovery, and specifically the episodes 3 and 4 of Discovery Season 3, which introduces us to a new character, the first non-binary character in Star Trek. What is their name?
Is she non-binary? They keep referring. I thought they kept gendering her.
They do, but she is supposed to be non-binary, or is it her Trill?
Is it because
that was non-binary? I thought she was non-binary.
Because I did too.
But
you know, did refer to her partner as their boyfriend.
Yeah, that's right. So, but here's the thing: any of that is possible with non-binary. I mean, she could be she/her and still be non-binary. And I think that might be what's going on. I'm looking for the name of.
It just threw me, and I didn't go look it up.
Yeah, me neither. So yeah,
well,
let's see.
That character is kind of new, so she's a little buried in the credits.
Yeah. So this starts up. They go to Adira is her name, and they go to Earth to look for the Federation, and they find that Earth has become like kind of isolationist, and the Federation hasn't been there in quite some time. I thought this was I liked this. I liked the Earth Defense Force being sort of, they're aggressive but not like militaristic, but they're like they're like, hey, we're gonna board your ship. We're gonna look around. Nothing you can do about that. And but they don't like come in phasers blasting or anything. They just kind of invade.
It's also neat seeing the updated transporter technology. It's used to really great effect when people just surprise you, like, nope, we're here, boom.
Yeah. Blue Del Barrio. Is the actor and
one credit.
Yep, and they are non-binary and go by they them pronouns, regardless of what the character is.
So they are they them, but maybe that because I don't know about the character, because I think they've been using she her for Adira.
Anyway, I want to get it right, but it's not like it's a sticking point of the episode.
Yeah,
they are an actor.
Such a cool character. I love Star Trek for hyper smart nerds, and whether that is cyborg enhanced or symbiote or whatever. Did we know about Trill before?
Yeah, they're on Deep Space Nine. They're Deep Space Nine. It's a.
Like,
I knew I recognized that.
I kept thinking, man, am I just really mixing this up with Tribble? No, that's not the same thing at all. You don't want a Tribble bonded in you.
Here's what's kind of amazing about the Trill. On Deep Space Nine, Jadzia Dax is a Trill, and she has the thing bonded to her, and there's a thing that floats around the internet where basically she meets this Klingon who's an old friend of her previous host, and he calls her the old name, whatever Dax, and she says it's Jadzia now, and he's like, Jadzia, my old friend, and they've been using that meme to show trans awareness. So in a way, cool. It was already a nod at it was in the less enlightened age. The Trill were also sort of a nod to transness, and so to bring that into the first use of trans and non-binary characters is a really cool nod.
So I loved the setup of the Trill as an alien race.
Yep.
Their home planet, them being like, the burn gets scarier and more interesting to me the more they talk about it. Mm-hmm. And like how bad that might have scared, like not just fucked up some species, but then how bad that would have freaked you out about travel and about, or limited your ability to then travel again. Like, you're now trapped on this world.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially if your civilization has had warp drives long enough to have been fine being where your planet is, because you could warp wherever you need to go.
Right.
And now if you got to travel at sublight speed, that shit's too far.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that kind of stuff is really cool.
It definitely gives it a Voyager vibe, because that was kind of the thing with Voyager, is like, we're lost in space.
We're way out here. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, also, it's made the Discovery's spore drive such a unique thing. It already was unique in a way, but now it's like, we are literally the only people who remember the Federation from when it was a Federation and can go anywhere. Like, they are the perfect people to bring the Federation back.
I really like them dealing directly with the PTSD of the crew. Mm-hmm. Though I'm still irritated. Like, I'd like them to deal more directly with Burnham. That loss of faith over 1 year, to me speaks to something buried in her that wanted out of Starfleet the whole time. Yeah. Because otherwise you knew you were traveling through time and that there might be some level of craziness. And I feel like a year would be the start of you starting to drop your shit and change. 5 years, I could see her being a different person. But like at the end of 1 year, I could see her going through half a year, just going through all the motions, like everything's completely normal, and it seems like she went pirate immediately.
But less of you. I mean, pay attention to where she's been all throughout.
That's true. I have not seen, and I mean, I've not seen all season 2.
But like that, I think that's the thing, is like, you're seeing this character in a certain way, but the fact is, in season 1, she is impulsive. She basically starts the Klingon War. Then she falls in love with a Klingon and doesn't know it, and gets kind of traumatized in that way. Then she gets involved in this crazy artificial intelligence thing, like, and she's part Vulcan. She has a trauma in her past. Like, Michael is a character who changes a lot, and she's been figuring herself out for a long time. So I'm
waiting for Michael to take the hair wrap out of her hair and get all of the sand of Rio out of her shoes and her suit, and get back to her day job. And it's just annoying as shit.
This might be a harsh judgment or a harsh criticism of the performance, but it does feel like you have your top billing actress who has been playing this character for a couple seasons, where essentially, like you said, she's part Vulcan, but she does play it more emotional. Yeah. It's like whenever Spock would have the emotional, which was rare, but she does that like every episode.
Yeah.
And it seems like she got to this season and was like, I just want to act like a normal person on this show. And they were like, okay, we got a way to write this in. Well, then we're going to give you a new haircut.
You got to remember, Spock was a half human, half Vulcan. Michael Burnham is fully human and was raised among Vulcans, and that's going to fuck you up. Like, I don't know, maybe I really like Sonequa Martin Green. Maybe I'm just loving this season so far, but I have no problem with this transition. Like, a year in this far future, after everything else she's been through, after finding out that her surrogate mother figure is now the evil emperor from the Mirror Universe, like, she has been through so much shit that I can easily see her going, you know what? This is great. I'm going to go with this.
It makes her nerve and her commitment weak to me.
Huh. Interesting.
And that is the one cornerstone of her character that you shouldn't fuck with. Like, she got to a strange new future, and instead of holding on to anything she knew, she just gave up who she was and went with the flow. And that's fucked up.
I disagree. I actually think her strength is her adaptability, and this shows that.
I just don't think she has she doesn't have a core to me.
Huh, interesting.
Like, who is Michael Burnham and who cares? Why is she on the starship?
Do you think there's more?
I don't. It undercut her bringing back the Federation. I don't think she wants to be there.
What about? Do you think there's more exposition that we could get in the future about what happened during that year that could explain the transformation in a more satisfying way?
I need to see something
they had
awful happen to her, because this just seems like she was bored in her apartment and forgot about the Federation.
This is a weird comparison, but did you guys watch the Harriet Tubman movie that just came out?
No, I have not seen that.
Because there's Harriet?
Just Harriet.
Yeah, I think it was just Harriet.
Yeah, I saw it.
So there's this bit where, she escapes, and the way that she was supposed to escape with her husband, but she knew that there was no way they were both going to get out, so she leaves him behind.
Yeah.
And then she actually comes back to get him and finds out he's remarried like very soon after.
Yeah, because to him, she was gone. Yeah.
And he gives, which granted this different situations, but he gives just this really passionate argument for like why he shouldn't have had to be alone when he didn't know what was going to happen, like how, having that joy and that love in his life was necessary for his survival. So I could see a similar case for Burnham in terms of like, there's so much unknown in this situation. Like, is it going to be 1 year, 5 years, never? Like, what does she need in order to survive? And that might just be completely changing and adapting, as Randy said.
I'll be interested to see, Les, if they do something to make you come around on this or not. I'm with it. I actually buy it. It's to the extent where it's never bothered me. Like, until you said something, it never seemed unusual at all to me.
Yeah, and I don't know where they're going with the plot. Like, I don't think the show feels that way about it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they're going to reveal that something. I don't think that they feel the need to reveal anything worse happened to her. That simply spending a year waiting was more than Burnham could do.
Can I tell you guys? I think there's been a moment that makes me tear up in every episode this season. Like the third one, I don't remember exactly. Oh, the third one was when Saru, when she's like, "You're the captain. It's always been you." Like, they just dispensed with that. And basically, he's the captain. Saru is such a different captain than we've ever seen. He's different than every other captain we've ever seen. I love what Doug Jones is doing with that character. And then the fourth one, it was their sort of getting together as a crew and having dinner. And it goes wrong. Like, it goes like bad family dinner. It goes from Thanksgiving to actual Thanksgiving. But I really liked that moment of like all of them basically trying to reconnect with themselves and reconnect as a crew, and I thought that was a really good moment for the crew.
I loved Spore Drive, Anthony Rapp.
Stamets.
Yeah.
I loved his moment with Tilly where he's like, "I've never let you know that you make my work possible," and her comeback line of, "I've always known that." Well, I've never told you it. That's fair. It's like, fuck yes, that's a great line. And I was so glad that they dispense with the bullshit of like they already took it the previous episode of like, man, you've been hurt, stop this, like please don't wreck this entire ship out, like rather please don't try to make a meal out of the drama of one character. Like, this is it treaded towards Arrowverse. Are we going to make 3 episodes out of you just not telling someone something?
Yeah.
And like, are we going to make 3 episodes or some huge season-long problem with the Spore Drive out of you being so prideful that you won't even let anyone figure out a way to do it without you? And I'm pretty glad. I was thrilled that they basically dispensed with that shit.
Yeah.
Real fast as part of the healing.
And they
I applauded in my living room, like, thank you.
They straight up had, I think, was it Tilly who said it? She's like, the Spore Drive is, without it, we are nothing. We need this, and we cannot be relying on you.
You were in
dilithium.
Yeah.
Like, they can't rely on dilithium anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like, literally, for the ship to work, it has to be the Spore Drive.
No one's trying to unspecial you, dude. Like, but you're going to kill us all.
Yeah.
Speaking of the ship, something that they alluded to in the 4th episode, which I think they're probably going to make a bigger part of this season, but the ship may be becoming sentient in a way.
Yes. Okay. Did you guys watch the short treks? Any of the short treks? Okay. There is a short trek. I can't remember what it's called.
Do I need to go watch these?
Yes.
Is this because they ran into whatever the sphere is?
Yes, it is. It's.
They mentioned sphere energy and that Saru asked the sphere about the Trill, and I assume that's a season 2 thing I missed.
It is, and the sphere is like this weird alien tech that had like all this knowledge. That's what the AI was looking for. So go and
from
watch.
The future.
You don't need to know anything about season 2. Just go and watch.
There was an AI.
It was AI was the. Big
Is that
thing.
why we're in the future?
Did you not know this?
No.
Yeah,
you didn't know this?
There's an evil AI that was basically going to wipe out the entire future.
I just figured there were reasons.
Yeah, there are reasons. You should.
Oh, and it's like a Matrix-y.
You should seriously watch
AI that can crawl into
Les.
humans too.
you should watch season 2, Les, because it's really good.
Pike is the best.
So there's an episode. It's a short trek, which a lot of the short treks aren't great, to be honest. Most of them aren't worth watching. But there's one. It's season 1, episode 2, called Calypso. And it is a self-contained story about a guy we've never seen. It's in the far future, like farther than this. and he is aboard the Discovery, and it is a sentient ship.
What?
And it seems like we may be getting the hints of how we get to that point in this.
Oh,
and I love that
cool.
idea. I think that's a really cool idea. We've never had a sentient starship that
Well,
I know of in Star Trek, right?
Not only is that, yeah, I don't think so. Like, when I think of sentient ships, I go back to that The Doctor's Wife, that Matt Smith episode of Doctor Who, where he actually gets to meet the TARDIS as a woman.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
it's so great.
Yeah.
Or
it makes you sad that ship can't talk.
Farscape.
Oh, did they have that?
Their ship's alive. Yeah.
Okay. But I love
it
the
doesn't
idea
talk to them and stuff, but like it's a living beast. Like it's like your horse. Like you can't be shitty to it.
I love the idea that the Discovery starts developing its own personality. I think that is a really cool idea.
And becomes a character itself.
Yeah.
Well, and another great thing about that is the spore drive is definitely a result of season 1. You know, they were using it, but they had to figure it out in season 1. Season 2 was all about the sphere and like getting it away from, the bad guys and all that. Yep. And now both of those things are a major part of the show now, not just them being in the future where their technology's all, obsolete, but that the ship is going to evolve each season potentially is a cool idea.
By the way, we haven't talked so much about Adira and her story with her lover Gray and the Trill and all of that stuff. Like that's a really moving story. They did a great job in
I really
one
dug
episode.
that backstory. Yes.
They did, of like setting up this love story that we cared about and setting up how important it was that she talked to her past lives. And so we get that moment where she comes back and gives all her names, and it really just works.
When she dives down into the pool and then vanishes because she goes into some kind of psychic matrix realm to talk to however that works.
Precog.
Yes. The Trill are a dying species, according to them, that like they're on their last legs because there aren't enough viable hosts to accept symbiotes.
Right.
And because the Trill themselves are actually the dotted forehead alien nation looking species, right?
No, I think the Trill are the worm looking things, and the species, I don't know if it has a name. I think together they're the Trill.
Okay. But it's always those dot-headed people
referred to it.
They're like the speckled
the dot-headed
they're
people
the ones
are the hosts.
They're the ones that are always the hosts. Like they're the people that, and not even all of them though, because like it sounds like not even all of them can accept
like most
to
of them
be a
can't.
host.
Yeah.
So I don't understand what they did differently for. I mean, obviously it is different and special and everything, but like, had no one ever tried accepting it?
No, it's been tried. In fact, in Deep Space Nine, I think they did.
Because like they don't just talk about it like it worked for her because clearly she's not dead and she knows all her history and she could say all of her names now and everything. Right. But they talk about it like it solved something for them, and none of them were present for whatever she did, and it doesn't seem like she did anything other than relax and let it not fight it. Like I don't understand how this solves organ transplants.
Well, I think it shows that it's possible. That previously all the contacts with humans have not been viable.
Because I kind of had a moment of like, did y'all get all the way to this point and just never tried it with humans?
I think that's the thing is they have tried it with humans, and I think that basically it doesn't work. It doesn't take. It's like you say, it's organ rejection, and I think this is that first. Oh, maybe we just haven't found the thing that makes it work with humans.
Kyle, it's Doctor Who. It's straight up Doctor Who. What made it work, the difference, is that she was in love with the previous host.
The Doctor Who ending, it always works.
True love.
Maybe we should call it the Moffat ending, not the Doctor Who
Yes, the Moffat ending, I should say.
But, I mean, I'll be shocked if we don't get more of that throughout the season, the story of how Adira helps the Trill become a space-faring, successful species.
Yeah, because I loved it, but it when it worked, I was like, I don't see what y'all did that was radically not been tried before.
Right. Well,
and I don't see any of the other Trill around to know what the fuck happened to learn from it.
I think to some extent this is one of those rare cases. In general, Discovery is a Star Trek show you can watch even if you don't watch Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is one of those rare times where it's like, none of us are what you call Trek experts. I've never seen most of Deep Space Nine. I've seen bits and pieces of it. But I would suspect that if you go to our friends over at Text Trek or our more Star Trek nerdy friends over at the Star Trek Discovery Pod over here from Permanent Record, that they have some more deep background on how this all works and what this all means.
So if we're going to get more, like, hopefully we can maybe get some questions answered. The other thing that I was wondering about is it's their Lazarus Pit, whatever the fuck that their in-ground pool. So their Lazarus Pit goes very, very quickly from no, none of you can go into it, it will sully the entire culture of our people, to fine, she can go into it, but only her, and it might kill her, to, you know what, I've got these sticks, and if we put them in there, any of you fuckwits can go in.
Desperate time.
And go straight into the Matrix. And I was like, I was like, thank God we've got the such and such so that I can smoke a cigarette in space. Like, thank God we have these four. I mean, it looked for all the world like fluorescent bulbs we were going to fight with behind a loading dock at work. But maybe that's just my job experience. But they put them into the water, and then all of a sudden Burnham could Matrix out. And I was like, you know what? I don't care, because I want to see where this goes, but we're going to put a pin in that discovery. I need a no prize. How does this work?
You know, kind of just a small detail from this show that I think we mentioned probably in season 1, but I was just noticing watching some of these episodes is the production design on this thing is so good. It's like I'm to the point where I'm taking it for granted, but I was just looking at all the badges and how well they did them, and especially what's the Black Ops one? Is it like section 11?
31.
Section 31. Oh, that's my favorite badge.
So
but
I have one of those.
Oh,
I got it. It's a little magnetic badge. It was like $15, and so basically it's got a magnet on the back, so you can basically attach it through any clothes.
Nice.
It's super cool. And I got it because that black badge is so cool.
You pointed out the change in the opening credits this season of kind of blowing apart and updating the things and like some of the things that it hints at. So I was watching that a little closer this week, but something that I'm loving that I don't know enough Trek nerdiness to catch all of it, but I love it enough that it's one of the wonderful things about Star Trek that makes me want to go research more Trek, is the slow change in all of their shit. Is that, like, they're reforming the Federation, they're rebuilding the ship, they're rebuilding it with stuff now, and it's slowly changing. Like, they're while it is nice to see them in like the old uniforms and stuff, like their phasers and shit, like I love seeing this like slow progression of the anachronism plus the new tech.
Yeah. Also, is the I noticed the dish on the front of the Discovery, all the starships have it, that dish, it looked like it had this fork thing on it now. Was that part of the original design?
I don't remember.
I don't know. Discovery looks a lot, I don't know my ships in Star Trek nearly well enough. Discovery looks way different than a
lot of the other ships.
Than the other ships to me. And I realized like there are minor differences in all of the USS Enterprise and Discovery and all of that I'm never going to catch.
Well, no, the fork thing that I noticed, you see them on airplanes, and I think they're like for taking temperature or for making sure that ice doesn't collect, but it just looked like a neat little detail that I spotted that kind of just tied it back to, you know, things we might have in the real world.
Well, we might get back to Discovery at some point. I wouldn't be surprised. But for now, let's divert over to Borat.
Very nice.
Okay, so Kyle, did you watch both, or did you just jump into the new one?
I watched both of them.
Okay.
But I watched the first one afterwards. I watched the new one first.
Oh, interesting. So I saw the first one in the theater, and I don't think I've seen it since.
Same.
But I laughed my ass off.
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing is that we hadn't heard the joke yet. It was this, like, Jackass had kind of done the gotcha, what would soon become YouTube thing. But Borat said, hold my beer. I'm going to do that, but I'm actually going to have something to say, and I'm going to do a little social commentary with this.
Did you not watch the Ali G show?
So I had seen the Ali G show from working at Movie Store.
Yeah.
But I didn't really care
But when they went
it.
to make an Ali G movie, he just made a movie. He did an attempt to, because that's the thing, like, we had seen stuff like this on TV, Punk'd, you know, hidden camera shows, but this was, like, I'm not sure how much money it made, but you have to think this cost nothing to make after you get people to sign these consent forms. And then it went into theaters and just became a super hit.
Yeah.
I didn't see this in the theater. So at the time, Sacha Baron Cohen at best reminded me of the Jim Carrey Try Too Hard that I don't like about young Jim Carrey.
Sure, I get that. Yeah.
And I also didn't like Jackass. And so the marriage of those two things is what Borat looked like to me. And so it took a long time before I sat down and watched it at home after people had told me it was great, and then the voices had finally died down, and I was like, all right, well, let me take a look at this. And then went, oh shit, you're great. And then over time, I mean, I guess I laughed hard at the first Borat's great. I mean, Penelope, it's just great. But then over time, I saw enough Sacha Baron Cohen interviews that it became like Russell Brand for me, of like, regardless of what I think of your comedy, I have a whole other respect for you now.
Yeah.
So that dude is real smart, and I love that he's out there doing this.
So something really interesting I just realized is that the first Borat film came out in 2006, which would have been at the end of Bush W's first term.
Yep.
This is coming out in 2020 at the end of Donald Trump's first.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully his first term.
And we were halfway through Bush's second term. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And it's funny because it's not all political. But it is all about the sort of the weird cultural thing that's been created by the president.
I think he said flat out that kind of his goal, regardless, is to generally get people to let their guard down and own what they really believe. Yeah. That they might stop themselves from
So the first one, I did love the first one. The thing that sticks in my mind most is the weird naked running fight between him and his manager, which was one of the most weird.
Oh God, I'd forgotten about that. My God, yes.
Just like oh, you'll go there. Got it.
Oh yeah.
This one, the thing that struck me about this one is, and again, it's 12 years. It's what, 14 years on, and I'm like, how did they do this? Because as I'm watching it, they've got good camera. Like they clearly aren't using just hidden cameras. But I'm like, how did people not know? How many of these people are in on the joke?
Well,
and it seems clear most of them aren't.
I think they did a mixture of two things. One, the original Borat formula, which we were talking about, but it looked like they took some notes from Portlandia, where they cast real people who were not actors to essentially do some improv performances where, like, the woman who provided the daycare services for the daughter, like, she obviously was in on the joke, but was not prepared enough to actually, like, she was reacting in real time. I feel like the same could be said about the guy in the electronics shop, the guy at the copy and print center. Like
the ones that like you may not know what's going on, but you know something's up. This is silly.
This is set up, of some kind.
Well, I think in those three instances, I think they actually cast those people to be characters in their movie.
That's not what they're saying. When you look at the behind the scenes stuff, they were saying that this was all like that.
I don't know that they ever let them in on it, but
the only person they let in is the Jewish woman. They told her what was going on.
Again, that was just.
And I'm glad, because that would have been really uncomfortable.
She was amazing. You want to talk about the most fucked up thing about the encounter with the Jewish woman to me is the realization that she's so prepared for it because this is nowhere close to the first time that someone has said, "Do you drink the blood of babies?" or something like that to that woman.
Yeah, it's just
she has had to combat blood libel bullshit before, and I was like, "Oh my God, you have a speech ready for this."
Yeah, and and she doesn't get angry; she's just kind about it. Yeah.
The film was actually dedicated to her. She passed away this year.
She passed away. That's the trick of Borat, I think. Borat is if he comes to people with like open hearts and kindness, then they wind up looking pretty good. But if he goes to people who are hypocrites or crazy people, they usually come off pretty bad. Like the doctor that they go to, and he's like, "I put the baby in my
I'm bad."
And the doctor is like, he never says anything about how that's bad. He never tries to advocate for the girl. He's just like, he wants is his agenda of making sure that she has that baby. That's all he cares about.
When weirdly, the two QAnon rednecks that he stays with, I read an article, like there was a separate article on that, because the question we all had at the end of it was, how did they not know? He lived with them for 5 days.
Yeah, how did they not figure it out?
There's a second guy with them who had a camera so that they could be filming it, and then Borat also I think had a pinhole camera, or like a clip on. But he said like that they knew something was up, but they never really like. He's not sure if they ever really caught on, but like they knew he was filming something obviously, but
that was the
one.
But
he kept that up, and he didn't break for 5 days.
That was the one. These guys took him in the middle of a pandemic, and now of course they didn't believe in it, but like that was the one where I'm like, how did they not know? But then you think about it, and you're like, but they believe in QAnon, so they got him pretty fucking credulous.
Perversely, they come off as not bad people.
Yeah, I know. It's disturbing.
Like they genuinely like him and are willing to put themselves out for him as a friend.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit. You guys have been duped by a whole load of horse shit. That is being laid out like an augmented reality game to fuck with you, but okay. Sure, Hillary Clinton does satanic thyroid gland drinking
pedophile rings in pizza shops.
Craziness.
One of the best things that happened when I say best things, one of the craziest things that happened, didn't make it to the final cut, but when he does the country music performance.
Yeah, they nearly started a riot.
Yeah, there was a riot, and there is amazing footage he did on one of the late night talk shows where they put him in an ambulance because he's in like a fat suit, so he's not very mobile. So he jumps into an ambulance, and the side, not the back door, but that side door on the ambulance looks like the kind of door you would have like on a camper home, and they rip it open quick, and he's having to hold that door shut while the ambulance is trying to get out of there. And at one point, he's got like security in the audience that, you know, are just like dressed civilians. At one point, one of the crazy rednecks goes for his pistol, all right, and goes to pull it out. And one of the security guards puts his hand on the pistol and goes, "Not worth it, buddy."
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I had seen interviews with him about how this time was the first time that he ever had moments where he felt lucky. Like if they hadn't called it right then, he couldn't have got out of that situation. Yeah, and that he just didn't happen in the first movie.
By the way, let's talk about his daughter.
Okay. Yes.
Oh, yes.
The show stealing thing that people should go. Where did they find the comedian that could keep up with him to play his daughter?
So good,
fantastic.
You know who she kind of reminded me of is his wife, Isla Fisher.
Oh, I can see
like,
that.
Oh my God, she's
where she like
too.
Disarms you with her looks, but then you're like, wait, you're fucking with me.
Yeah,
I did not realize. Is Sacha Baron Cohen married to Isla Fisher?
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh my God,
he wrote.
She's amazing.
I
like
in the
I like
credits.
her in tons of shit. She's great.
Yeah,
but no. What I found interesting is there's 3 films that have kind of done that this year. It was first, well, technically this was last year, but Jay and Silent Bob reboot, Bill and Ted Face the Music, and now Borat, where they found a way to take their franchise, which is this male-driven franchise, but to bring in female characters that expand upon it. And I can't help but think about that Ghostbusters reboot and how poorly that did, where it was like somebody going, all right, we need to take this franchise and we need to make it for women now, and like that's the total wrong way to do it. Like I feel like each of these with increasing success were able to bring like sincerity to it, and like these daughter characters like in each of the projects really work.
I agree, and that's a good point, Kyle. I had not made that through line connection, but that's a really good point. That's what they're doing here is they take what was a male franchise and add a woman in a way that feels like she steals the show out from underneath them.
Yeah.
Maria Bakalova is her name.
Also, I kept thinking to myself, like when she's at that like woman's conference thing, I'm like,
God.
oh, this is how you get around people knowing you're Borat, is you find other people who can do this just as well as you, and then film them.
That was watching those women like start to
realize, I can't clap
bless
for
your
this.
heart, sweetie.
Yeah.
Everybody, touch your pushnakas.
It's fantastic. Yeah,
touch them
I spent
together.
most of that movie with like cringe laugh. I don't enjoy cringe laugh very often, and I spent that second Borat movie was fantastic.
No lie, involuntary reaction to the Giuliani scene, like the end of it. I stood straight up and walked to the other end of my house, like power paced, and then walked back to the TV. Like I was like, I could not stay still for it.
You did a full-on Keegan-Michael Key reaction.
Exactly. Yes. Involuntary.
Man, the fact that Giuliani got dragged into this is just it's the cherry on top of the sundae.
Yes.
He would have had sex with that girl
100%.
if she would have made the move. Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah.
If she'd have named her price, he'd have left it on the nightstand.
Yep. Oh man.
100%.
No, there is like one moment where you feel bad for him, where you're like, oh, somebody did this to me. Like, oh, well, I hope I'd be better than that. And then you remember it's Giuliani.
Fuck that guy. Yeah.
I don't know what that moment was because I never had that moment. I have no.
Maybe it's when he's fixing his dick and they got the crotch cam on him.
So bad.
At no moment did I feel
What
at all
the
bad
shit,
for Giuliani.
man? Oh my God.
Yeah, no,
Man.
especially not after this week.
Man, this was super good. I don't know if I don't know if it's better than the first one, but it's of the same quality.
So I've not seen Who Is America, but I've heard it is this good or better.
Oh, it's definitely on that level. Yeah.
Is that the name of the first film?
Yeah.
No. Who Is America is the show he did, the one season
Oh. Right.
TV
Oh,
episode.
yeah.
And he said flat out that he can't. That I don't think there's a way to do that again.
I didn't like Who Is America. I watched the first episode and was not into it.
Yeah, that one wasn't as good as the Ollie G show. But you bring up...
I didn't care for the Ollie G show, so I might not like Who Is America.
Well, so the thing with I think the major achievement of this second Borat film is that he was able to figure out a way to keep doing this.
Yeah.
Because after the first movie, the joke's out there.
I'd have sworn that you could never do Borat again like that. Because who the fuck... Like, what I kept wanting to yell at Giuliani the whole time is like, dude, you're in a Borat movie. That's Borat.
Also, you're like, do you not have HBO, Giuliani? Do you like just sit...
For real. And
he gave him an out because there was a moment before it got really embarrassing where Borat was literally right in his face wearing the disguise. Mm-hmm. And he had at least a moment to go, this is weird. But
I felt like Sacha Baron Cohen was throwing him a line.
He also says to him, he comes in and he says, stick to marrying your cousins. Like, and Giuliani just let that go by. Like it.
I had to pause the movie and look over at Lisa and was like, "Did you catch that? That's not a Borat joke. That is just a straight stab at Giuliani because he has married a cousin."
By the way, that's clearly not the first time he's heard that because he just let it go by.
No, he just let that go.
I also loved it where he goes, "She's 15. She's too old for you."
Yeah.
Take me instead.
Man. Yeah.
Oh my God.
When he's yelling out those jokes in those really tense situations, you're like, gosh, like what does it take to give that performance? Because that is just insane how like the things he's able to do.
By the way, we've talked about this. We haven't talked about the story structure of this. The whole the Uber plot of him losing the first movie was all about him being the outreach from Kazakhstan. This is his punishment because he brought Kazakhstan's foolishness to the world.
But then also this large conspiracy. Yeah.
And the reveal at the end, complete with Usual Suspects twist, was so goddamn funny and dark. I was like, that
super dark.
And that they used Tom Hanks in Australia, man. Like that is a deep cut. There was some.
And obviously Tom Hanks was in on the joke.
Of course,
he had to be.
Yeah. But also, when he first comes to America in this one, they sort of run with the thing that everybody was asking, like, how do you do Borat? Because they had a whole bunch of people like yelling at him on the street, recognizing him, frat boys and that kind of thing. And he's like, no, it's not me. And that's how they explained his disguise. Like, I love that they went there and they explained that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that when he goes to the costume shop and they've got whatever ignorant foreigner.
Yes.
And
got
just a Borat costume.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, is this?
Yeah.
Like,
man, I never thought about that. That there's probably a lot of, like a big costume market that he's not making money on.
Probably, yeah. Sexy foreigner.
Yeah,
anyway.
Borat mustache.
When I rewatched the first one because I was right there with you, Randy. When the first one came out, it was like just hurting. You were laughing so hard.
Yeah.
The jokes do wear off. I mean, it's still cringeworthy, but there's nothing like the initial, like, seeing this stuff. Like, if I watch that Giuliani scene again, I'm probably not going to get up and pace around.
Right.
But, like, the first time you see it, it's shocking. It is really shocking.
Yeah.
I would recommend everybody go watch this, even if you're just on the fence. Yeah. I kind of liked, I mean, I thought the first movie was really fun, but it's not like I would say I love Borat or I'm in a hurry to go watch it again.
Yeah.
And so when I sat down to watch the second one, I wasn't quite sure how on board I'd be, and damn, it is good.
Yeah, it really is. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for us this time. If you're a patron, you can go to our extra episode and listen to us talk about what we're going to do for the rest of the season on Patreons and maybe some movie marathon ideas. And if not, this is it for TV Dudes for the week. You can always join us at patreon.com, throw us a buck an episode, and you can go back and listen to hundreds of episodes that are on there. But until that time, thank you, Les. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to our patrons. Thank you, Borat, for what it is you do. And until next time,
TV Dudes out. The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TV Dudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.